Hi, welcome to my channel, Sewing with Maryrose. My channel is all about making sewing, serging, machine embroidery, crafting, and Etsy fun and easy. If at any time you like this video, please hit the subscribe and like button to see more. In today's video, I am going to show you how to create a tank top from a tank top you already have, and you'll be creating your own pattern. Be sure to stay till the end to see how it turned out. This is my absolute favorite tank top. I've had it for about 10 years. It has beautiful embroidery on it. It also has some elastic on the front and in the back, so it has just a really nice fit. I'm using butcher paper as my template that I'm going to create. You will record and take measurements, and then you're going to sketch your tank top onto a piece of paper. You'll also want to make sure that you're adding for seam allowance. In my tank top, I added a 1/2 inch on each end for seam allowance, and it turned out just perfectly. So you want to just measure it the way you want to, depending on what type of seams you're going to create. I'm measuring the bottom, and of course it's flared, so it's going to have more of a flare towards the bottom compared to the top, and you'll measure. You see here that I'm measuring it on the bottom. I've measured the top, and because it was stretchy, I had to stretch it out. I'm cutting out my pattern piece. This is just standard butcher paper. I find that gives you the best value for your money, and you could buy it in a humongous roll. Here I am just making sure everything is nice and straight, just following and tracing, and then I'm going to get down into the details on how I created this pattern. There are different special rulers that you can use. For the arm sleeves, I did use a special ruler that is not pictured in here. So now I'm creating the front. You want to make sure that your tank top goes all the way up to the top where there's the highest piece before it gets to the strap. I'm going to draw around this curve, and I'm going to make sure that everything is stretched out. See how I'm stretching here? Grabbing my pen, and I'm just making the rough drawing here. Again, I used a 1/2 inch seam allowance on each end. And right here, I am just drawing right where I see everything. And then I'll add on the seam allowance. There is a flare here on the side, so you want to make sure that you're following that around. And I am going to show you here, I brought out my gauge to make sure that I had a 1/2 inch all the way around. Here I am folding over my fabric. This fabric is a little on the difficult side to work with. It is kind of like a gauzy fabric, and it also has sort of like not really pleats, but it's kind of bunched together. I've already washed this material too. I don't have any pattern weights, and I'm just rough cutting around the edges to make it a little easier for me to work with. So I'm removing all of my weights, making sure that everything is nice and straight and all lined up. So I'm taking my rotary cutter to make sure I have nice, perfect, straight edges, and even still you'll find that it's not perfect. So I'm using this 24-inch ruler to just make sure that I am cutting nice and straight, and I'm not making any mistakes along the way, and I'm angling my ruler as I go along. So I wanted to show you that, how I'm moving my ruler, see, along with my rotary cutter to make sure I'm cutting in the right areas. Now I'm evening out this material. After I cut it, you can see I have this big bump at the top, but I don't want that because this is going to be in the back of my tank top, and I want to make sure that it's nice and straight. This now is going to be the front of my tank top. You can see where I have my arm hole, and I am going to make sure that everything is lined up nice and straight. This material is very drapey and flowy. This is one of the reasons I chose this particular material. I love this material. I've made so many skirts out of it. I got it at the market area in LA in the fashion district. I got this lovely material for only $1 a yard. Next time I go to the fashion district in LA and I do some fabric shopping, I will definitely do a video about it because it is such a great place. You'll want to be sure that you have a cart if possible, because you won't want to leave unless you load up on the really great deals. So now I'm cleaning up the edges here with my rotary cutter to just make sure everything is nice and straight and all lined up. Now I'm serging the edges. The reason I'm serging the edges on this material is, as you could see, it has all of these little folds. It's kind of delicate and gauzy. It's type of material that's kind of hard to work with. Now I'm creating a rolled hem, and I'm making this rolled hem all around the edges. And I'm also going to make this rolled hem to put in my elastic. So the elastic I'm using for this particular piece of clothing is 1/4 inch. It's the same type that I use for making masks for ear loops. So I'm turning it over and making sure that it is about 1/2 inch, and it does make it a lot easier to roll when you have serged it first. Don't worry if you don't have a serger, you can definitely use a zigzag stitch if you're working with a material that's hard to work with. So I just put my elastic through and I'm securing it on both ends, and I'm doing a back stitch here. You can see now it's nice and stretchy, so it'll hold up nicely in the back. So when you have this type of material, you want to make sure that you put some kind of elastic in there, or it'll just kind of fall down unless you put a zipper in. So now I'm comparing my original to the new one I'm creating. The two pieces I've put together, I've clipped them together with my quilt clips. I have left open this little opening here to have a little flare opening in the front and back, and it's about 1.5 inches on both sides. Now I'm making straps. This is my little bias tape maker. I love this thing. I got it on Etsy, and it is linked in my description in my show notes for this. I did note here, it is a challenging material to work with. So if you want an easier material, something that's nice and easy to start off with, I would suggest using just plain quilting cotton. That would be like the easiest thing to start off with. Another fairly easy thing I think is using a jersey knit, just because it doesn't unravel. You won't have to do any serging or zigzag stitching to hold the edges together because it won't unravel. So the front should be a little longer than the back, and when you see me drape this all out here on my table, it is a little longer. See that in the front towards the bottom here of my tank top than the back. I want to make sure everything's evened up, and now I'm just measuring, and that measures about 6 inches from the top to the top of the back piece on both sides, because of course you want this to be even. Now I'm going to serge both ends together. So you're going to trim off a little extra, and now I'm serging the other side. You'll want to be sure that you flip up that one little spot towards the bottom to make sure that you have that little opening on both sides. So you might have to ease in some of your material. Some of it might be a little shorter or longer on one side, but you want it to be definitely even. So these slits, you'll see here, I had that opening there so I can make sure that I get those slits taken care of. I'm just tying off in a knot my end of my serged piece, and I'm going to hide it inside my hem. Now here I'm making the slit, And I'm just turning it here. And voila, it's all done. I'm putting this now on my Singer 150 mannequin in my size, and I do have that linked in case you're interested. I do really like this mannequin for making dresses, tops, and things like that. So there's the back. It's nice and flowy, drapey. It turned out great. There's the armhole, front and back, and I made this into a halter top. I was going to put sleeves on, but I decided, oh, I think I like a tank top. So maybe next time I will show you how I do a tank top in this style again, because I just love this so much, how it fits, how it falls right at the upper part of my thigh. I call these kinds of shirts my buffet shirts. So, you know, if you're going to a buffet, it kind of hides your stomach. So here it is. And finally, here's me trying it on. I'm super happy with how this turned out. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching.